Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. Something I didn't highlight about Pierre Poilievre's press conference yesterday, but I thought was a brilliant rhetorical line for him to be using over the next couple of years, is when he, in response to Mark Carney's new cabinet, just offhand said that maybe Carney and the Liberals should steal more of his ideas, steal more conservative ideas. Because the way that the Conservatives are going to be able to market themselves going forward into the next election is pointing out every time the Liberals do something sensible, it was a conservative policy that the Conservatives have been pushing for years. And whenever the Liberals do something bad, it's because that's one of Mark Carney's original ideas, like the HST GST tax freeze. Check this out right here. I think it was a very good way of phrasing it.
Soft reassurances. We also have an offer to make the Liberals. My message to Mr. Carney: steal my ideas. We've got great ideas. And we've been leading the charge on the debate over carbon taxes, inflation, housing prices, crime, drugs, resource development. And I note the Liberals even lifted a few of those ideas and put them in their platform to get reelected. We want to make sure that they were sincere about that. And we're going to continue to put forward solid ideas to make people's lives better every day. Because our purpose is to bring home the promise of Canada, that everyone who works hard gets a great life, that anyone from anywhere can do anything, where you get a nice, affordable home on a safe street. Every day and in every way, we will fight for our people and our country, to put people back in charge of their lives with bigger paychecks, abundant, affordable energy, home ownership.
Overall, I thought that was a really good 8-minute sort of speech reaction to Carney's new cabinet. I will have it linked in the description below and at the top of the comments if you guys want to watch the whole thing. You know what I actually do also like from that clip? I'm not trying to be rude. I like how he stopped saying powerful paychecks and things like that. I always hated those lines. They were clunky. I just felt the whole like script falling apart every time they started jamming in too many slogans. Saying having a nice home on a safe street is perfectly fine. That's a very basic way of saying it. Every time it became lost liberal decade, powerful paychecks, build the homes, it kind of started feeling like clunk. And he did a really good job with that. But now I want to jump over to the CBC, who are very sour about Pierre Poilievre, I guess, not bowing the knee to Mark Carney here. Here is Rosemary Barton getting upset that the Conservatives aren't cheering Carney on.
And talking about how he would not be opposing the government reflexively, that he would do things in the best interest of the country and support the government in those issues, and that he says he wants the country to succeed. He then spent the next 15 minutes talking about all the ministers who were there previously and the things they did to ruin the country, naming particularly Sean Fraser and Stephen Guilbeault, taking some questions about how he will approach things inside the House of Commons. But overall, it started out in one tone and finished in another. That's all I'll say, because
you're actually not supposed to say anything. I don't know what possesses Rosemary Barton to think that she is paid for her opinion. It's supposed to be a pure objective news show, and she gets up and she's kind of casting aspersions at Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the opposition, whether he's in parliament or not, having an oppositional attitude towards the Liberals. And he didn't even do that. He literally ended the press conference before it went to questions on his request that the Liberals steal more of the conservative ideas and actually follow through on the ones that they've already stolen. If anything, it was kind of a cheeky positive vibe at the end.
He leaned into attacking the people that he thinks still don't represent change, are still more of the Trudeau government, and particularly don't represent the things that he thinks Canadians want right now.
Yeah, cabinet is broken, is essentially what he said, right? It's no longer Canada's broken. He's saying this cabinet is not change. A style and approach from Mr. Poilievre, Rosie, that would suggest it's almost as if he won the election rather than lost the election and lost his own seat. Talking about how he's going to stand there.
Okay, well, this is just becoming an attack from somebody, again, who pretends that he's an objective news anchor. The thing is, Poilievre is right to kind of declare a small victory on this. In fact, this is the rhetorical stand that they should have been making from the beginning. The Poilievre Conservatives would have been way better off that when Carney was getting rid of the carbon tax, at least temporarily, saying that the consumer carbon tax rate is now 0. Poilievre should have said, you should cut the industrial carbon tax next, but thank you for finally agreeing with us after years of us saying that we need to get rid of the carbon tax. That's the rhetorical standpoint I would have gone for, because it's both a jab and it's positive. The whole idea is, see, you guys agree with us. You're giving Canadians social permission to vote for us because you're basically saying our ideas are better than your ideas.
In defense of Canadians, he'll only be able to stand there, actually in the chamber behind him, because of the goodwill of the Prime Minister, who's going to call an early by-election for Mr. Poilievre so he can run in one of his MP seats in Alberta at the cost of close to $2 million to have a by-election.
Okay, what is this, David Cochrane? Sorry, is $2 million not worth allowing the opposition leader to be in the House of Commons? Is this not worthwhile? We could have had a federal election earlier if Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party weren't farting around for months trying to figure out who the new leader is going to be. They'd made the best tactical decision that they could for themselves. That's fine. Poilievre is making a tactical decision that if he wants to actually be able to sit in the House, he's going to have one of his MPs stand down. And by the way, I've heard Damien Carrick actually has good personal reasons to want a couple of years break before he comes back to that same seat. But David Cochrane is turning this all into like a really petty attack and basically just saying that he should be kissing the ring of Mark Carney because he's letting this by-election go forward. Mark Carney, if he refused to let this by-election go forward ASAP, would get destroyed in the public opinion. Because really, you're going to wait the maximum of 6 months before calling the by-election, because that's how it works in Canada. If there's an open seat, the Prime Minister can call a by-election whenever he wants, or he must call it after 6 months. Do you think that he wouldn't have his popularity hit the floor if he's basically demonstrating he's terrified of Poilievre and won't let him back into the House?
All while he stays in Stornoway throughout this. So it's interesting that given that sequence of events and given those series of factors, that it was that kind of approach and response to things there from Mr. Poilievre. Going after Stephen Guilbeault, talking about the radical environmental agenda, blaming Sean Fraser for the housing crisis, which is...
It's flipping accurate. Let's be very clear. It's accurate because he sucks at his job. Housing starts went down with Sean Fraser because Sean Fraser did not care to get regulations out of the way. He went for blanket rezoning on the municipal level, which doesn't actually make it easier to build. It just means you can build bigger things if you ever do get that permit to build. It's basically a bribe to developers saying, okay, we're not going to get rid of, we're not going to get all the regulators and bureaucrats who manage the bloated housing system out of your way to build. But once you do build, you can build a triplex rather than just a single family detached house. That was his plan, and housing starts went down because that wasn't actually a plan to get more houses built. That's just a plan to get more bloated housing built at a similar slow rate.
Sean Fraser's I don't think he's 40 yet, or he's just 40. I don't think he caused the housing crisis in Canada. There's a whole bunch of layers and effects to that. But
layers and effects. It doesn't matter that Sean Fraser and Justin Trudeau and housing ministers before him in the Liberal government were deeply incompetent. He's not even 40 years old, or he just turned 40. How could he have done it? He wasn't around for Watergate. What is this? Again, I don't know what he's trying to do here. Other than be a massive political hack, but that's not real. That's kind of par for the course for David Cochrane at this point. The CBC obviously really doesn't like the Conservatives. I don't know how anyone watches these people and thinks they are objective news reporters. They are obviously extremely biased. But anyways, I'm not going to belabor this video. That's it for this one, guys. I think Poilievre is on a really good new rhetorical track here. CBC obviously does not like it, which means it's probably working. And we will see what's going to happen in the coming months once Poilievre gets back into the House of Commons. I assume it will be quite fun because I don't see Mark Carney really improving anything in particular. And I think it's going to become very, flashy quite quickly with all the failures starting to come through the door, because the cabinet Mark Carney picked legitimately is just quadrupling down on the exact same stupid stuff Trudeau was doing before. There's a couple people in his cabinet I can say, fair enough, that seems like a good pick. But then you have Sean Fraser as Attorney General, the guy who messed up in housing and immigration already. What do you think is going to happen? Anyways, so that's it for me, guys. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not yet a subscriber, and leave a comment. I will be back either later today or tomorrow I have this ridiculous story of a BC Conservative MLA attacking me down at the Ledge in Victoria in British Columbia because we didn't vote with them on some bill or whatever that was extremely stupid, both on the yes or no side. I work for one of the independents, and we decided that the only smart move in this stupid game was not to play because both the Conservatives and the NDP were basically all rah, rah, rah in favor of big government in their own separate ways. So anyways, that's it. See you guys later.